Welcome to the Live Loving live stream with John Davis. So can you hear me now? How about now? Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Live Loving live stream. It should be all the way cranked up. Is it very quiet? Am I still very quiet? Yay! Well, it's been a couple weeks, so I haven't had a chance to play with the technical stuff in a while. Well, it's lovely to see all you guys. I'm so glad to be back here. You know, when you're away for 2 weeks and you're having a great time and you're sitting on a beach watching the wild horses go by, you look at all the things in your life, and it's a time of reflection and kind of meditating on the beach and the way I go to the Assateague Beach in Maryland, so I take my Jeep and I go way far south. So the closest person to me on either side of me on the beach was probably a quarter mile away. And so I had nobody around me, and I was just sitting there, and the wild horses were going by. And for me, it was very meditative. My son was out playing in the water, a lot of it, as was I. But I thoroughly must say I enjoyed the time relaxing. But you do reflect. You reflect on the things in your life that you love to do. And these Friday nights are something I truly do love to do. I love to come on here and just be open and share whatever we all want to talk about, but also just some ideas, just some thoughts, my truth, as it were. And it was just lovely. But and when I look at all of you guys here, and I've been trying to say hi to, I see Chitra has arrived, and Kelly. Hey, Kelly made your first live. Welcome, Kelly. Welcome. Savan, you can hear me now. I'm so glad. When you go away for a couple weeks, you kind of forget how the tech works. And I was playing around with a new microphone today, and it wasn't as loud as the one that I normally use, which is the one that I'm using now. So I wanted to hop on. Temecula, California, pretty warm out there. I've been watching the news on that. I'm going to go back here and see if I missed anything. So, guys, if you have questions, type your questions in all caps, just like Marcy said. And a special thank you to Marcy. I'm so glad to see Marcy is here, especially since the last time I talked about Marcy, she had COVID-19. So I'm glad to see you're doing well, Marcy. That makes me very happy. And I don't think I missed anything else except for a lot of people telling me they can't hear me. Coming back down to the bottom here. Check. Yeah. I can hear now. Okay. Yes, Marcy is awesome. I agree with you. And I also highly recommend a reading from Marcy. Make sure you go over there. And guys, if you get a chance, go check out the interview she did with Kim Carey. It was an excellent interview on dream interpretation. And if you want your dreams interpreted, that's one of the many services that Marcy offers. So make sure that you avail yourself of her wonderful service and specifically of her lovely presence. What type of questions? Okay, so this is an open forum. You can ask me anything you'd like to ask me about my past life stuff, about spirituality, about current situations in your life and how I would handle them, or what I think of them, or anything spiritual topic related you're interested in. I these Friday nights are an open book. So I come on and you can ask me anything you want, and I try to answer every question. On a very rare occasion, I'll miss seeing it. That's why that's why I like the all caps thing. When you put the all caps in, my 59-year-old eyes can see them better. And so if you have a question, just go ahead and throw it on the earth. Oh, Raina, you found the reason why you came to Earth. What is the reason you came to Earth? I would love to hear that. Oh, David, that's a great question. Let me go ahead and do that one. Hold on for 1 second. What kind of cool experiences have I had with wildlife or animals/insects? Love that. There's actually a lot to talk about in this topic. When I first started practicing my sitting in love, as opposed to meditation, and I think it's the same thing. I think it's just I've stripped away the methods and modalities of meditation and came down to its pure essence, is what I call sitting in love. I I when I was first starting that process of just being in that space, I would go down to a little ravine behind a campground I was staying in when I was performing in Ohio, and I would go down there, and the base of the ravine, there was a creek or a river that ran through there, and the shoreline was flat shale rock, and so there was no sand. It was literally giant slabs of shale, which was just really beautiful. And I used to sit on those and just sit in that love space. And it was very interesting because in that space, whenever I would get into the love space, the insects would stop landing on me. All of the insects, all of the flies, all the things that you would find down in a wild ravine in the middle of summer, left me alone the whole time I was there. Blue herons used to fly about 10 feet above my head down the ravine as I sat there. They had no fear of me at all. And then I remember one day specifically, I got up and I walked over to an area, and there was this tree that had fallen that had become a bridge from one side of the river to a little island in the middle of the river. And I walked out across that log, which was this natural bridge now, and got halfway all across the log, and to my left, probably about 20 feet away on the riverbank, was an 8-point buck standing there staring at me. And I stopped, and we just looked at each other, and we just had eye contact for quite some time. And then my human self came in, and I was like, I suddenly got excited because this was cool. And the second I went, oh, cool, I got excited. He tripped and took off running because of the change of energy. I've had many experiences like that. In my backyard right now, one of the rabbits in the area has recently given birth, and I have all these little baby bunnies that are running in my backyard right now. And I go out in the backyard, and they all pop their heads up, and I go, no, guys, it's okay. And they look at me. I go, yeah, how are you today? And I just talk to them, and they look at me, and then they go back to eating, and they just ignore me, right? I talk to the owl in the woods behind my house, and he talks back. There was a time many, many years ago when I was in Florida. It was during the time when all of the original John of New stuff was happening, and it was just, I was like in a space of just, this is crazy. And I went over and I sat next to a pond in this park in Fort Lauderdale. I think it was called Quiet Waters Park, I think. And I was sitting there, and I was just looking at the, actually, I don't think it was Quiet Waters. I think it was down TY Park. It was TY Park. And I was sitting in the back, and I was just kind of looking at this. And then I looked, and as I was sitting there, I noticed that the log in the water directly in front of me had 13 turtles on it. And then I looked to my right, and there was a rabbit. And I kept hearing other noises. I looked around, and there were several iguanas in the trees above me. And there was animals all over the place. But what was so cool about it was my dog, my Rottweiler, was with me. And all these animals were, easily within 25, 30 feet of us. And the number of animals was really, really large. But even my dog didn't care. It was just this space of pure, loving, beautiful, being one with God, being one with nature. And so the animals kind of come out and join you. So I hope that answers your question, David. I'm going to jump in and see if I can look and see what other questions I've missed, if I've missed any. Let me know, David, if that answers your question. Raina's reason for living is chocolate. Okay, I'm with you. Alice, keep visiting you. I've been healing bugs when I can. Helped heal my dog's strained muscle. I liketh the Costco pizza. Hi, Sarah. Can't taste it. Let's see, moving down. We have cicadas making so much noise. That's beautiful. I like the sound of cicadas. Why has Philip become a footnote in history? My guide tells me he is Philip. Could it be that he is the apostle of your time? We are all part of the oneness of God, and even the John the Beloved is on the other side as well and I don't even realize whether I'm an aspect or not. Now, a friend of mine has memories of being Philip, and the running joke always is he thanks me because Philip is only really mentioned in the book of John, in the current Bible. So understand this: when we are experiencing connection or communication with the other side, we're all one, and it comes to us in many and varied ways. And if you believe that it is the Apostle Philip, absolutely it could be. But understand that's just the individual consciousness of that's tapping into yours, and together you're still one. And so, could it absolutely be that it's the disciple or the Apostle Philip that you're talking with? Sure. The question is what are you getting from it? What answers are you getting? What are you learning? And more importantly, are you putting it into practice in the here and now? Because putting it into practice is the important part, is being the love that the other side is always telling us to be in the here and now, and sharing it with as many people as possible, including yourself. Love yourself too. I hope that answers your question. Please, everyone, remember to put your questions and comments in all caps, because I almost will miss them if I don't. Hello, Gene Love, the greatest last name in the world. I don't know if it's really your last name or not, but I love it. Look at my love, Marcy, taking care of everything. Thank you so much, Marcy. Tom in Costa Rica has a question. What's Tom's question? Is he? Or did I already answer Tom in Costa Rica? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Yes. How can we connect to our animals, and what is making them so anxious? Well, it's interesting because the question I would have to ask is, why are your animals anxious? I have been having just beautiful experiences with animals, and they don't seem to be anxious. So the question I would ask is, are you in fear? And is your vibration something that they're reacting to? Is there something in your life that's making you be afraid? Is this weird political environment something that's creating a vibration that they're picking up on? That's what I would say, because I don't know about anybody else here, but I'm an animal lover, and when I see them, they love all over me, and I love all over them. So I don't see the anxiousness in the animals that you're seeing. So I can't answer that other than what I've just said. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question. I think the owls could be your higher self. And if that's your belief, sure, absolutely. I think, well, the owls themselves are a part of the oneness of God. And so if that's your belief, then that's where you'll go. Uh, there you go. I'm just now catching up to you, Marcy. You're kicking butt. It's great to see you too, Gene Love, by the way. 2 rescue dogs. Kelly, you have 2 rescue dogs? Well, rescue dogs are always anxious, typically, because rescue dogs are usually coming out of a traumatic experience. And so they would definitely have reasons to be anxious. And, the Buddha said that life is suffering because of our habitual response to our past experience. Animals are habitual response. They come from their habitual responses. It's a matter of helping them find new habits and new responses by giving them loving moments as opposed to traumatic moments. Thank you, Marcy, for this lovely question here. Pop it up there. Joshua's mother. It's very interesting. People always want me to talk about her, about her grace, her divinity, and my memories of her was she was a lovely woman, and she was a lovely mother, and the Catholic Church has made her a centerpiece of divinity, and I think that she was as human as Jeshua was, and I think that well, I know for a full well she was highly defensive of her son, and when the reason why the disciple John, the apostle John the Beloved, was at the crucifixion was because Jeshua had asked him to take care of his mother and his wife, and they weren't going to be anywhere but at the foot of that cross. They weren't going to be away from him, and so John was the only one of the 12 who was there. So, but as far as her in life, she was a very human woman, and towards the end, she was a very human woman who really felt she had lost her son. And I don't know whether, and this is a really interesting question because my memory of my seeing him again, I don't know whether he ever went and saw his mother again or his wife again. I hope so, but my memories aren't complete. So I don't know what happened after that's really the last memory I have of him is me seeing him. So, that's, I guess that's the best way I can answer that question. Let's see. Jump down. Gen T, it says, oh, you're quite welcome, Mercy. Gen T, you said you want to start your own practice. What kind of practice would you like to start? And when are you starting it instead of wanting it? That's my question for you. I am starting a practice. So let me know. Was James martyred before or after? It depends on which James you're talking about. Brother James, it's so weird. I have very few memories of Brother James. And I don't have memories of what happened to him afterwards. I know that, and I say brother meaning John's brother, James. Jeshua's brother, James, was absolutely technically martyred, but he actually jumped off a cliff because he wouldn't renounce Jeshua. and he literally they had him at this cliff. They were going to kill him, and he jumped off the cliff instead of succumbing to them. And it was a big thing. So, yes, there is a fan in the background, Larry, and it's because my air conditioner isn't working when I got back from my vacation. So, is it too loud? Let me know, and I can possibly switch microphones. Actually, I would love to have you guys help me out for a second. I'm going to switch microphones for a second, and you tell me which one you like better. The one that I'm on right now, or the one that I'm on now. Which one comes out clearer to you? Which one is more effective? And which one is louder? Actually, I don't think this one's going to be as loud as the other one, but let me know what your thoughts are. So the first one was better. The one prior was better. Okay, so let me go back. Is it because it's loud, or because the sound quality is better? The first is louder. Okay, so it makes sense. The second one was an AT20 USB microphone. The first one is a very expensive shotgun mic run into a mixer board through another device, and it's so yeah. They're fine. Sarah, you're fine with both. Whenever I try to run them both at the same time, they really sound like crap. You like the sound from the second one, hey Marcy? So first of all, loudness, the first one, but is the sound quality better from the second one, not despite loudness? All good. All right, there you go. All right, so we'll just stick with this one for now, and I'll just keep talking, and I'm on the first one now, so that's good. I don't know. Do it again. Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to spend too much time on microphones when I be talking about your. Somebody else wants. You want to? All right. You want to hear the second again? Two of you have asked now. All right. Hang on. I'm switching to the second one. Right now, I'm on the second one. So let me know whether this one sounds better. It's definitely. Is this one louder, or is this one quieter than this one that I'm about to turn on right now? Now I have the Pro FX back on. So the second one has no back noise. Better quality, but quieter. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't have a means of turning this microphone up any louder. So until I can figure out how to boost the signal, and Jen, you said I sound further away with the second microphone, but the second microphone is technically that far from my mouth. So I thank you for that, but let's get back to spiritual stuff as opposed to technical stuff. The second one sounds better to you. They're both okay in the end. There you go. The both are okay in the end. Let's just stick with that for now. I could possibly. Well, anyway. Okay. So, guys, what other topics would you like to talk about? You know, the vacation of mine was, as I said, it was a time for me to look at my life and things that I not only love, but things that I don't love. And when I was assessing things, I'm still in the process of assessing my life from that journey that I was on. And I mean, I think that at some point there's going to be some big changes that are going to come in my life soon that are going to be so much for the better for the channel and for everything involved. So Jesky Smith, I love that name. Jeskeel. Oh, you have to tell us how to pronounce that. Jeskeel. I hope that's what I'm saying, right? the Secret Gospel of John. Actually, if you go over to my other channel, the Level Up Spirit channel, I did a whole video thing on the Apocryphon of John, which is the Secret Gospel of John, and then or the Gnostic texts. And I go line by line, and I do a whole conversation about it. So go check that out. You change your preference to the second one. What was Jeshua's voice like? What was Well, hang on, let me put that one up. I'll put Larry's handsome face up there. How you doing, Larry? What was his voice like? Well, first of all, I will tell you, his voice was not underpinned by choir singing. The interesting thing about when he spoke, you listened. He was never with us. He never got really angry. He did get frustrated. He would get frustrated at the fact that we weren't understanding. You have ears, but you do not hear. You have eyes, but you do not see. But his voice was calm. And imagine someone who just likes to laugh, who likes to see you at your greatest, and how that person would talk to you. Because that's how he talked to you. He talked to you like you were the most divine thing around, and he let you feel like you were so special, like a friend. And the more you spoke to him, you talked to him, it's like talking to an old friend. And it was never a struggle to talk with him. It was never a hierarchy that you felt like you couldn't talk to him. It was always a close friend to everybody. And that conversation you have with that close friend that's so easy and so comfortable, and there's no fear involved, that's what his voice engendered. Now, to give you an actual sound quality, I really, probably mic number 2, obviously. I hope that answers your question, Larry. Any other insights from the vacation? Yes, I did have a couple other insights from the vacation. Insight number 1 for me personally was I'm away from my family too much. When my wife and I divorced and she moved to Ohio with my son, I packed everything and moved to Ohio. And for the past 17 years, I have been disconnected from my siblings and my nephews and my nieces, and I've been out and going home, and it's always like I really wish I had more time there. And I know that that's it's a wish, and I know that that's why I'm manifesting moving back there at some point. Right now, the most important family member I have, of course, is my son, and he's got 3 more years of college here in Ohio. So I'm focusing on moving down there, but having a presence here in Ohio until he's off on his own or wants to move to Delaware. But he is the most important thing to me, and will always be in this life, probably. But that was number 1, that I'm so far away. Number 2, salt air is good for me. My lungs cleared up, my skin got softer, my experience of just being there. I physically felt better at the beach, surrounded by all that salt air and that swimming in that salt ocean and riding the waves, and being able to go and just get away was lovely, and being very contemplative was very lovely. But I had a chance. I stayed with my brother and his wife, and they've been married a couple years, but I really didn't know her, and I got a chance to really know her while I was down there, which was a very, very lovely experience. She's a wonderful, wonderful person, and my brother is so happy to have found her, and they're just laughy and jokey. And I also miss that I don't get the opportunity to hear my brother play in his band as much as I would like to. My brother is an exceptionally talented musician at everything he puts his hands on. At one point, he was playing a show, and there was a guy on stage playing a xylophone, and my brother went over and started playing with him on the same xylophone. And at one point, he went on the outside of the xylophone and was playing the xylophone backwards. So it was very much a yeah. I love seeing him in his element, and so yeah. The other, yeah, and the other insight of the trip was that there are things in my life that are not in resonance with who and how I want to live. And so I'm looking at the process of paring away things and which I've been doing in my house for the past 6 months. But yeah, I I enjoy myself better when I'm around my family and friends down there. So I just wanted to thank you for that question. It was a beautiful question. I'm going to jump down here. Chitra, I love you, Chitra. What do I want to be when I grow up? I want to be Peter Pan. I don't want to grow up. I want to be this joyful, lovey guy until the day I die. And then when the day I leave this earth, I want to leave this earth going, wow, look what's happening now. That's how I want to leave this earth. So I don't want to grow up, and I want to laugh the rest of my life. I hope that answers your question. I love that one. I am healing again from not walking. I thought of you, John, when you worked and got your body strong. Oh, well, I'm glad you thought of me, but I want you to really think about the idea that anything that I've done in my life, it's so easy for you to do it as well. It's just a matter of choice and action. It's so interesting. I over the past after my fast this year, I went a little hog wild with the pizza with my kid, and I gained a little weight back. And on this vacation, I came home and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back to just eating very clean for a while. And I lost 12 pounds in the first week of eating clean. And I feel so good right now. And the more I think of myself in a way of wanting to feel like that child that Trisha said, what do I want to grow up? When I don't feel that way, I feel old. I feel broken down. And so I choose to feel young and vibrant and laugh a lot. And when I don't feel that way, I bring myself back to that space again. And you can do this too, faithful girl. I know you can, because you're just the same as me and everybody else in here. You have the same divinity as any one of us, and you can do it. So let me jump on. Oh, Jess Gill, I love the name. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that you are celebrating your love in a single name. I love it. That is such a testament to your love, and I love seeing things like that happen. Amazing. I'm gonna jump down. Joyful, lovey guide till the day I die. Sounds like a song, doesn't it, Chitra? Poet, and I know it. Let me pop this one up here. I found a family in North Carolina that's doing some interesting things with light beings. I'm trying to connect with them on other with other high vibe to connect. Have you done this? I light beings are a very interesting experience because have I seen light beings? When my cousin Carlos came back to visit me, he was in pure light, and he wasn't even fully formed. I just knew it was Carlos. So a lot of people, when they touch the divine and they touch the individual sparks of consciousness that are in the oneness of God, or the individual sparks of consciousness reach out to us, we wrap our illusion around them, and oftentimes we give them names like light beings and things of that nature. But higher vibe beings, they're just differently vibed beings. They're just aware of their divinity without the need of the body, and I love it because it literally comes down to the idea of you're a light being, they're a light being, and it's a matter of you saying I am connecting with a higher, or not a higher, I am connecting with a more aware source. I like the term more aware than higher because I think hierarchy denotes they're better, and a higher, or quote unquote more advanced. It's not about being more advanced, it's just more aware. It's like, as I've said in other videos, it's like two people leaving for a trip and one person leaves 2 hours early. The person who left 2 hours early isn't better than the one who hasn't left yet. They just have more information. And so they're not higher. They just have different information. And in reality, if you have the different information and you can connect with the people who don't have the information, it's almost a responsibility to go back and help them pass the pitfalls and the challenges that they're going to overcome. And so that's my view on the light being aspect. So have I connected with individuals? I don't connect in that way anymore. When I was younger and when I was first going into my spiritual stuff, I would always pray to something or someone, or pray for something or someone. And now my perspective is very different. It's about being resonant in the oneness of God and understanding that you are also resonant in the oneness of God, and our resonance might not be the same, but it's just unique and beautiful right where you are and who you are. And there are beings who are more aware, who can come into the physical and see us and share with us and guide us, and there are ones who are not in the physical who do the same, but they are also part of us as well. And so that's my answer to your question, David. I hope that answers it in a way that satisfies. Oh, thank you, Jen. The happiness is beaming from me. My happiness, I feel great. I just feel lovely right now. I don't want to grow up. The light beings are one with us. When we, the people, refer to a higher self, I think that deeper self. When we see people refer to the higher self, I think a deeper self may be more descriptive. What say you? I love that. What say you? That sounds very Renaissance-y. What say you, man? I like the delineation of deeper as opposed but even deeper denotes something away from yourself. I just don't think here's my true answer to this, Kitra, is I think words are imperfect. And I think words are imperfect, and to me it's I'm here and I'm in this space, and when I choose to be somewhere else, I am, and when I choose to connect to something other, I do, and higher, deeper, further are all directional and distant words. And to me, it's all here. And I go back to my phrase that I use frequently, which is, it's a trip we have to unpack for. I think we get higher, deeper, further when we strip away everything and we come back to the space of our oneness with God. And I think that's why in the Bible it says you must become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven, because it is literally stripping away all those beliefs and structures, and then experiencing. It's when I really got out of Catholicism and really started studying all the different experiences, and then really putting the belief in the present moment, very present moment, is that I started having the bigger experiences. Bigger is also another, it's a size word, right? It's an imperfect word, but I started having other experiences that were new to my awareness. And in being new to my awareness, they became part of my awareness. And so to me, that is the greatest lesson I can teach everyone, is to strip everything away. Come back to you and God alone, and understand that it's found right at the bottom of every breath you take. That exhale. Look at the goosebumps. Look at the goosebumps and the scar from burning myself. um, but the goosebumps rise when you just let go and come back to that space. So I hope that answers your question. Let me jump down. And let me go back to the higher self thing real quick. I believe the higher self is just our Holy Spirit, and our Holy Spirit is our perfect self without our fears and anxieties that we are going through in the physical. Because I think the Trinity is our oneness. It's the oneness of God and the oneness of our physical, and the awareness of both in the middle, which is our higher self or our Holy Spirit. That's my belief. If your belief is different, I completely respect your belief. I think each one of us needs to hear other people's beliefs and choose what our beliefs are, because that's what the lady said. She said spirituality is a personal journey. You've got to find what you believe, and I think that's for everyone to do. Let me jump over. Okay, Tammy Cheney. What a beautiful name. How can I tell someone I love dearly that I cannot be their negative dumping ground in an unconditionally loving way? By the way, born in Florida, from Naples, Florida, currently in Denver, Colorado. I had a very good friend who has removed himself from my life, which there's a story there, but I don't really feel his choice, not mine. It kind of is appropriate with your question. He lived in Venice, Florida, so right close to Naples. When someone is using you as the dumping ground, they are in a cycle of fear and anxiety. They have to make the choice. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to be the consequence. And you have to understand that sometimes being the consequence means you will lose the friendship. And sometimes losing the friendship is the greatest thing you can do for them. I had a friend who was very much into cocaine, and when he wasn't high, he was a Kundalini yoga instructor, and he was just a joyful, happy, loving person. But when he was high, he was an absolute butthead. No one liked him when he was high. And it got to the point where I was realizing I only liked him half the time. And so one day I said to him, I said, Michael, I said, as long as you're both drinking and doing drugs, I'm not going to be your friend, because I like you. I think you have a lot to offer this world, but I'm not willing to not love myself enough to not like you half the time. And so we're not friends until you're clean and sober. And he left, and I did not see him for 20 years. And suddenly he reached out to me on Facebook. And when he reached out to me on Facebook, he says, can I talk to you? I said, of course you can talk to me. He said, I want to thank you. I go, why? He says, when you said that to me all those years ago, I realized that you were someone who I loved, and it was someone I was close to. And for you to say that meant a great deal, because, I was losing the friendship of somebody I loved and respected. I left Ohio. He was in Ohio at the time. His son went back to my home, which, interestingly enough, is Denver, Colorado. Put himself into school, became a school teacher, and was teaching high school for those 20 years that we weren't friends. He literally changed his life and broke free of his addictions. And another young man who was really drinking and partying and not living up to the contract I had with him for the Renaissance Festival I was directing. But his assistant was doing a great job, so I fired the one guy and gave it to the assistant, and he blew up and he broke his friendship with his friend, and and then years later he contacted me, thanked me. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to him. It proved that he was just not being nice and not being good, and he was wasting his life, and he went off and became an EMT and then a nurse afterwards, and he said he loves his job. He feels like he's doing something he's really supposed to have been doing. But he never would have done it if somebody hadn't said you're messing up. But here's the interesting thing. If you're the dumping ground for somebody's negativity, when you tell them that you're not going to take it anymore, the first thing they will do is they will go to somebody else and they'll point at you and they'll say, look what she did to me. You will be the next negative thing they talk about. And then they'll throw turmoil and anger at you. But make sure that when you tell them that that I'm not going to be dumping ground anymore, make sure you tell them their positive attributes too. Make sure you tell them, I love you, and I think you could be a tremendously wonderful person, but your negativity is really bringing me down all the time, and I'm not living a quality life when I'm around you. And I would when you can break free of this negative cycle, these fears, then you can come back to being that. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, but sometimes it is the most loving thing to do. Other times you can literally say to them, anger and negativity is just fear, and you can talk to them about that. But that very rarely works. In the condition of somebody who's just dumping negativity. And remember this: when the wrong people leave your life, the right things start to happen. So think about that one. Let me jump over. God's word, I am. Well, thank you for the excellent explanation, comment, Chitra. I'm not sure which explanation it was, but I thank you for the kind word. Yeah, mine is family. Yeah, I have my negative person I have two negative people in my family, three negative people in my family, two of which are negative because of politics, and one because of religion. Devoutly Catholic, doesn't like what I talk about, and so we have a standing pact where we don't talk about the things that trigger each other, and we actually only talk to each other once or twice a year when we get together. But sometimes it's better to be in peaceful resonance than to be in the turmoil or trauma of others' fears. And here's another thing. You can't save the world, but you can make your part of it so bright that others choose to change by your example. And that's an important element. You be the laughter, you be the love, you be the thing that they really want to be a part of. And when they dump things, you go, yeah, I'm not doing that. And don't let yourself be drawn down into the negativity with them. That's theirs, not yours. What do I believe are the most pressing spiritual challenges humanity faces today, and how can we address them? Let me put that up here so everybody else can see. What do I believe are the most pressing spiritual challenges that humanity faces today, and how? I think the most pressing challenges that humanity faces today is materialism as opposed to spirituality. I think too many people are invested in the love of money rather than the love of people. And I think the only way we can address this is to be the love first. You have to forgive and realize the people who are trying to amass their wealth and trying to do all the things at the detriment of others are doing so out of their own fear of being powerless. And so your job really is to just be love. Make it as simple as possible. Understand that what's happening all over the world is happening out of fear. And remember this too. The world is predominantly positive. The world is predominantly positive. And in reality, the people who are being loud and all that right now, they seem really, really loud right now because they get the press. They get the TV spots. But in reality, I've been to 30 countries around the world. I have met beautiful, lovely, wonderful people in all of them. And all of them, in every country I've ever been, when I've asked the question, what's most important, they've all said my family. The thing that is most important to them is the thing that represents love to them. And so I would not stay focused on spiritual challenges. I would just focus on being loving, and then let the spiritual challenges change around you as people start to emulate you being loving. But if you're focusing on challenges, you're gonna see challenges. Mother Teresa said, "Don't have an anti-war rally. Have a pro-peace anti-war rally. Have a pro-peace rally, and I'll come." And if you're focusing on anti-war, you're literally focusing on war, and so that's what you will see. And that to me is an important aspect. Tesla said that if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. If your energy and your frequency and your vibration is focused on fighting challenges, then you are resonating with challenges. And when you focus on loving and joyful and laughter and experiencing, then that's what you'll experience. And your job is not to save the world. Your job is to make your part so bright that others choose to change by your example. I hope that answers your question, Sivan. Thank you. Faithful girl, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what that means. I only look hand purple, blue, peace forward. But okay, go for it. I have no idea what that means. Well, thank you, Sivan. I'm glad you liked those points. I really, the vacation for me was an example of that. When I was down there, I was in a different resonance. When I was feeling the salt air, I was in a different resonance. When I was watching the fireworks go over my... You want to hear... by the way, I have a quick manifestation story for you. Quick one. So Rehoboth Beach, Delaware is kind of a landlocked place. There's one highway in, there's one highway out. You can go north, you can go south, and there's water on both sides. And so the highways down there get crowded. And on 4th of July, the town gets packed. But every year, my son and I go in to watch the fireworks in that packed town. And every year, we get great parking. People are hunting for parking spots. You see them driving street to street looking for parking spots. I drove to the street where the fireworks were going to happen. And as I turned onto the street, I said, "Thank you, God, for the first parking spot from the boardwalk that I am receiving. Amen." And I drove all the way up to the boardwalk, and right there, the very first spot was completely empty. And there was a sign there that said, "This space reserved for the lifeguard until 5:30. It was 6:15, and there was nobody there. I pulled into the spot, and I parked. I grabbed my chair. I walked up on the boardwalk, over just slightly, went over the dune, set up my chair, watched the fireworks directly above my head. And I'll tell you something else that really happened. God gave the fireworks a pre-show. Because off in the distance, there was a lightning storm. And it was far enough away that you couldn't hear the thunder. but it was close enough you could see all of the glorious lightning going in all directions. And prior to the fireworks, they were just, giving us an amazing light show. And when the fireworks started, every so often you'd have fireworks with lightning going behind it. It was stunning. And when they came to the final finale, the the big final, blast, they launched those rockets, and they literally exploded directly above my head. And I was in the perfect spot. We finished the fireworks display. My son and I got up, we folded our chairs, we walked back to the Jeep, we threw our chairs in the back seat, we drove out the back way out of town, went back out of the house, and we sat down. We're sitting there talking to my brothers and sisters, and my brother and his wife, I'm sorry, and we were talking about the fireworks. She says, "How did you see the fireworks? It's only 11 o'clock." I said, "Yeah, no, we were right there. How'd you do it?" And I had to explain to her how I parked and how I got out of town, and how it was amazing. It was lovely. So let me jump over. Hey, I do have an interesting topic, and I just want to kind of throw it out here just to. I have been so blessed lately with all of the people who saw me on Alex Ferrari's podcast. I see the name Alex is listed there. I don't know if it's the same Alex or not, but I've had so many people just send me loving messages in my private sessions. The majority of them came off of that podcast. And so I've been loving the interactions that I've been having with people. And yesterday, I got an email. Well, it was yesterday or the day before. Doesn't really matter. I got an email through my website saying that she saw my interview on Alex Ferrari's podcast, and she really hates that I'm such a sexist. And I was like, I don't know how she got that I'm a sexist off of Alex Ferrari's podcast, but I find it interesting that people will pick up a cause, and then everything is colored by their cause. I've met many people who tell me that the disciples and Jeshua himself were gay. I've had people tell me that they've read the Bible, and obviously the women were the empowered ones. I've heard many different stories and tales, and then there are the people who don't like the fact that I say Jeshua ate meat, and they come at me hard and tell me that I'm obviously a false prophet. The Bible says it. He ate lamb and fish. But people will pick up their cause, and then if anything goes against their cause, they will rail against it, not because their cause is right, but because they have to be right. That's the cause they've chosen, and so they have to be right. And sometimes they will see things where things aren't really there. As far as me being, I'm laughing at me being a sexist because I have a hard time saying reading the word Father, Son, Holy Spirit, because I don't believe there's a gender in God. I believe that there's not one of us on this planet who isn't equal with anybody else. And what this person doesn't know is my entire life, some of my closest friends were always women. So it really comes down to a very your perspective. What you choose to believe, you will see. And if they're choosing to fight for a specific cause, they will see that cause everywhere and see the injustice of that cause everywhere, even when it's not there. So I want to make sure that when you guys are going through life and you find these things that are so important to you, make sure that you're not reaching out to people wrongly and accusing, because that's not the loving thing to do. Make sure that you actually know what they're doing and saying. There will be times where people will say things that are absolutely abhorrent. But, it's a matter of realizing that that oftentimes we put on the goggles of our cause, and we'll see it and cast blame where none is due. So I just wanted to say. Let me jump over and see what I got up here. Peace sign. It's a peace sign, darn it. Okay. Okay. You don't have to say darn it multiple times. It's good. I get it. R. Oh. Well, that's lovely, Tammy. Yeah, David is a great guy. He's here tonight. He's right behind you there. Nice. Anyway, well, my friends, we're coming to the end of our time. It has been absolutely a lovely evening, and I thank you for coming and joining me here from this Friday. It gives me goosebumps just to think about this connection that we have, and I love you all, and I'm really appreciative that you're here with me to talk and to share and to dive into topics, and I appreciate you all. So, good night, sleep well, and live a loving life. And I will talk to you next Friday. See you guys. If I can close this darn thing. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.